Opinionated gamers.
Better than the rest. Hey. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another VGcritic Opinionated Gamers Debate podcast, video, whatever you want to call it. Today we have Cameron and Erik here to debate one of the best games, worst games of all time, Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. So, following our normal format, we're going to do 1 minute pros, 1 minute cons, and then we're going to have 8 minutes to duke it out with a little 1 minute close from each of you at the end, and we'll leave it up to you, the audience, to decide who won.
Synopsis. You want to give us a synopsis
So
of the
synopsis of this game. It is a Legend of Zelda game, very similar to the traditional style, a little bit different from Breath of the Wild, of course. You are Link playing with a really interesting mechanic of wearing different masks to solve many unique puzzles throughout this world, and your overall goal is to stop the moon from crashing into the Earth in 3 days. There is an interesting time mechanic to it that does set it apart in a unique way, and with that, you will be able to look in the little doobly-doo beneath in the comment section and find a link to purchase the game. From there, let's turn it over to Cameron, one of the biggest fans of this game I've ever met, for our pros section.
All right, Majora's Mask is my favorite game of all time. It's tons of fun. The mechanic of the 3 days before the moon crashes sets it apart from all other Zelda games while still maintaining that whole Zelda vibe, right? So, like, you play as Link from Ocarina of Time. It has all the same characters from Ocarina of Time with a couple of exceptions, like Skull Kid's in there, but the mask isn't, like the Majora's Mask isn't in the game. The Happy Mask Salesman's still there. All the people that are in there were also in Ocarina of Time. It's based on the same engine, so you know it's going to be a good game. It's based on the Ocarina of Time engine. So you start out the game, right? You're on a horse, you fall through a hole, whatever. That's how the game starts. You become a Deku Scrub. You have to get through the first 3 days, and then you get the Deku Scrub mask, where you can also turn back into Link. You put the Deku Scrub mask on, etc., etc. You can wear different masks to turn into different things. You have a Deku Scrub mask, you have a Goron mask, you have a Zora mask, you have the Fierce Deity mask, which lets you turn into like a huge, like, immortal version of Link. Not really immortal, but way more powerful.
Okay, we're going to cut you off right there and turn it over to the cons.
All right. It's a good gameplay. The mechanics, the engine, we're not like sure. For N64 and now on to the DS, the engine's fine. But number one, the controls weren't always great. They fixed it a little bit with the DS, but still the C-Stick isn't great for controlling. The camera has always been a mess in Zelda Ocarina of Time and with Majora's Mask. They never could get that right. The mechanic of the 3 days until the moon crushes you is such a ridiculous mechanic. It rushes you. You don't get to explore. You don't get to figure out things because you are so rushed, because if you don't do things fast enough, the moon kills you and you get a stupid game over sign. It's really repetitive because of that. It makes the game too repetitive. The masks, cute concept. Mario Odyssey's buying into that, where you can turn into different things. It's a cute concept, but not great. The story takes way too long to get into, and Zelda's not even in the game.
Okay, we're going to cut you off right there, and we're going to open it up for an 8 minute duke it out, as you guys have now heard each other's arguments a little bit.
All right. Cool. Yeah, so it takes a little while to get into. What do you mean? You're hooked instantly. Oh, I fell down a hole and suddenly I'm a Deku Scrub. What happened? Why? How do I fix this?
It's way too long to buy into it. You don't know who the bad guy is at first at all. There's no purpose other than
you instantly know who the bad guy is.
No, you don't. Like, you're like, oh, the moon's
Skull Kid steals your horse and he's like, oh, that's the bad guy.
Yeah, Skull Kid's
first
the bad
5
guy,
minutes of the game.
Is he really the bad guy? Like, because
the mask is the bad guy. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. The whole moon crashing into the Earth, that's the whole mechanic. You're going to stop the moon from crashing into the Earth. So am I stopping Skull Kid? What am I, like, I think that, and then every time it crashes in, you have to start over again. That's a really repetitive, if we're going to bash Star Fox for being repetitive, if we're going to bash a whole bunch of other games for being repetitive.
I've never bashed Starbucks for being repetitive.
Okay. It's the most, Majora's Mask has got to be one of the most repetitive games I've ever played in my whole entire life.
Well, then you're not playing it right. You have a different 3-day mechanic, yeah, but here's the thing, right? So you start in, you become the Deku Scrub, whatever. You can do whatever you want in those first 3 days. You got to do a couple things. You got to get the Moon's Tier. You got to get into the Bomber's area. You get the Bomber's Notebook, and then you fight Skull Kid using the Ocarina that he drops.
Yeah.
And that gives you the Ocarina, which gives you the Song of Time, which lets you go back in time to the beginning of the game, right? The beginning of the game. But you have all the important story items with you still. You'll still have the masks. You'll keep your bow. You'll lose your arrows. You'll lose your rupees.
Yeah,
but
great. So I got all the things
stuff.
I worked for go away.
That's not true at all.
It's incredibly
frustrating. You can just
frustrating.
walk right outside of Termina, hit some grass a couple times, which you're going to do to get to your next temple anyway, and they're all back.
It's so, every time I go back, I got to restart and do new stuff and go out and search, and then I'm rushed because of the 3-day time mechanic. I don't get to enjoy the world. I don't get to go, I never felt like I could explore the world or meet people like I could in Ocarina of Time or interact because I was so rushed because I have 3 days, and in 3 days the moon's going to crush the earth. And by the time I get to the temple, because I've been exploring like I could in other games, the moon crashes in and I die.
There were multiple times in that game that I was actually waiting for the 3-day period to be over before going back, just because it gets me more rupees that way. I can go because you can put the rupees in the bank.
You've died 3 or 4 times and finally talked to everybody and exploring.
No, see, here's the thing, right? If you play
the beauty of Zelda is that it's open world. That's always been the beauty of Zelda, is that it's kind of this open world. I get to explore, I get to interact with people, and that was taken away by the 3-day mechanic because I'm so damn rushed to get to the stinking thing.
I don't think that's ever been one of the main hooks of Zelda. Like, yeah, it's definitely a plus.
Are you kidding me? It hasn't been one of the main hooks of Zelda. That's one of the. It revolutionized this idea of open world and interacting with people and being able to go and starting a game with no guidance. Majora's Mask is a repetitive, linear game with lots of guidance.
That's not true at all. What are you on about?
Is.
No, you're telling me that Majora's Mask is more linear than Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time, go to this temple, turn into adult, temple.
I'm not arguing against that in Majora's Mask, but one of the beauties of Zelda is that in all the other games you can even though I'm told I have to go to this temple, I can still explore freely and do it for as long as I want. If I want to go play at the ranch and ride the horse forever, I can do that. But I can't in Majora's Mask because by the time I'm exploring with the horse or whatever, the moon crashes the earth and it's dead.
You can in Majora's Mask. Oh, look, cool. I explored around. Cool. I'm just going to go back in time now.
And lose everything that I've worked.
Oh, I lost a whole 4 arrows and some rupees because I didn't go to the bank.
I just think that that whole mechanic is incredibly frustrating.
No, I actually think it sets apart true Zelda fans to not true Zelda fans. I feel like a true Zelda fan would be like, "Wow, this is a cool mechanic. I'm glad you introduced it." It actually, like, it doesn't make it feel rushed. I think it pushes away
some of the people. Don't you want people to buy your game? You don't want only true fans to buy your game. You want everyone to buy your game.
Yes, okay. Yeah. It's going to be a little more difficult.
Why am I catering games to just true fans? That's a stupid idea.
Well, Majora's Mask has Ocarina of Time's for everyone, right? Majora's Mask, like, for the true fans, is based on the same engine. It came out like a year and a half later, right?
Yeah, it wasn't well developed. That's why we need 9 years between Zeldas.
I don't think we need 9 years between Zelda.
But it's proof when you put 9 years between Zelda, you come out with the greatest Zelda
Majora's
game
Mask is the greatest Zelda game.
No.
Yes,
Breath of the Wild is better.
No.
Breath of the Wild is 100 times better.
Breath of the Wild is a fake Zelda game.
No, it's not. It's not. We're not arguing Breath of the Wild. We already did that.
I know. Breath of the Wild's a fake Zelda game. That's all I'm saying. So you can't call it the best one.
It is
Majora's Mask is the best Zelda game.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It
has a cool.
It doesn't even have Zelda in it.
And?
There's no Zelda in the game. You can't call it Legend of Zelda and not put Zelda in the game.
Sure you can.
No, you can't.
Why not?
Because it's got her name in the title.
And?
Oh my gosh. Good rebuttal. And?
No, I want to know why.
Because the whole game is centered around Zelda. You put her name in the title, and you don't even have her in the game. And the main villain of the Zelda universe isn't even in the game. You don't fight Ganon.
Yeah, it's way cooler that way. I've always liked branch-off stories more than I've liked main stories.
That's because you're an idiot.
Like Mario, right? I didn't like Sunshine at all. I liked Sunshine until you found out that he's Bowser. I thought, oh, cool, they're introducing a new villain. It's like a side thing. That's way more fun.
No, if you're going to stay true to the game of who it is, you should fight who you want to fight. Fight the main bad guy of Ganon. That's what the whole thing, every Zelda games, fight Ganon. And then we're just going to throw out this weird, random, stupid game with a 3-day mechanic that's incredibly frustrated, and Ganon's not even in it, and neither is Zelda.
That's
not a Zelda game.
That's
you're
what
argue that Breath of the Wild is not a
better.
Zelda. Hold on. You're arguing that Breath of the Wild isn't a Zelda game.
Breath of the Wild is a Skyrim ripoff.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's an improvement on Skyrim, if anything.
Okay, that's not true at all. It's a Skyrim ripoff.
No, it's not as good as Skyrim. It's taking a beautiful game of Zelda, the story, the people, the characters, and then merging it into an open world that we truly, genuinely have wanted for years. And then making it so that
you don't always have the Master Sword.
Oh, get over that. You still do have the Master Sword, and it's still the greatest sword in the game.
That's the anyway. Point is, you were saying you can't explore. You can too explore. If you play the Song of Time backwards, it slows down time. It cuts time in half. That gives you 6 days to explore.
It's just, why do I need that?
You can complete a temple in 2 days. That's if you don't know what you're doing. That gives you 4 days to explore if you play the Song of Time backwards.
Why do I need to play the side? Why don't I just want to go and explore? I just think that whole
You're really
mechanic
gonna complain that you get double the amount of time just because you have to stop for 5 seconds to play the Song of Time backwards?
I liked it about in Majora's Mask that I could go wherever I want, whenever I wanted. I think,
like
and
that
then
too.
you lose that. Because you're rushed to get. No matter what, if I don't do what I'm supposed to do in the time, I'm gonna die and have to start all over again.
That's not true. You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want in those 3 days. You can do whatever you want. You go back in time. There are owl statues you can teleport to, making the game faster if you want to go that way. You explore all day. You go to the temple you're supposed to. Hit the owl statue. Go back in time. Owl statue right there.
That's great. That's wonderful and all. But it felt too clunky to me. It felt like I was rushed the whole game. I never enjoyed it because I could never enjoy it because the stupid moon kept crashing to the earth and making me go back. I could never
That's
enjoy
just
the
because
game.
you don't know how to allocate time.
That's because I like to explore at a different space. Does that make me a bad gamer? No, it
you
just
can
makes me
explore
like
all you want.
No, I was forced. I felt rushed that I could not do it at my pace, and that wasn't fun for me as my style of gaming. So they're not appealing to every. I just think you have a niche fan base that is a great fan base. That's great, but you didn't tailor it to everyone. And that's what I like about, but that's what makes Breath of the Wild
Really,
so great.
I hated Breath of the Wild. I wasn't a big fan of it. I thought it was a dumb Zelda game, as I brought up before. Which means, you have this group of
How many
fans that
times have
like
you played Breath of the Wild, Cam? I'm going to call you out on this
12.
right now. 12 times?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you own it and you play it 12 times?
My friend Daniel does. I go over to his house all the time and play it.
Who plays it, him or you?
Me.
Okay, that's great. So you've never truly sat down for an evening and just played Breath of the Wild, because it is still
if you don't count 6 hours every time I play it as sitting down for evening and playing it, then
okay,
yeah,
whatever.
I
I don't think you've actually genuinely sat and played your own game of Breath of the Wild. You're borrowing somebody else's.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
You borrowed my
With
copy
that,
of Majora's Mask.
you guys
You've
are-
never sat down and enjoyed Majora's Mask. You've only used a borrowed copy.
Okay, fine. You can call me out on that argument. That's fine. We'll negate that too.
Okay.
Because Breath of the Wild is better than Majora's Mask, and
Wrong.
Majora's Mask is terrible.
Also wrong.
We've got 2 debates now in the comment section below.
Holy cow.
So with that, I'm going to give you each 1 minute to wrap up your case and maybe cover anything you didn't have time to mention in those 8 minutes, and then we'll see where it stands.
All right, cool. The 3-day mechanic's really cool. It gives it like a different vibe to a Zelda game, like I said.
Not a Zelda game.
The ability to that's not up for debate. It is a Zelda game.
She's not in the game.
The ability to transform into different forms using the masks and being able to get like the ability of those masks. Let me use an example here. Game Theory, your favorite show on the internet, has proven that Link from Majora's Mask is the strongest Link of all time. Okay, so it's because of these transformation masks, right? You can transform into Giant Link, you can transform into Zora Link, Goron Link, Deku Scrub Link. You can use all the other masks have uses too. You can use the bunny hood, run around. You can talk to animals using masks. You can explore, despite what you're saying, because that's absolute nonsense. You can save at the owl statues, especially since you're going off the new ones, it seems. The controls are a little clunky. Yeah, the C-Stick isn't great, especially if you're playing on the old 3DS, which doesn't even have a C-Stick, but I never had an issue with it, and I played it on the old 3DS, which doesn't have a C-Stick.
Alrighty, Cam, we're going to cut you off right there. Eric, your final remarks.
It wasn't a Zelda game, first of all. I'm just gonna say that. If we're gonna argue, if you guys want to, you and the other staffers here always throw out the fact that Zelda Breath of the Wild isn't a Zelda game. It had Zelda in it. You fought Ganon. You explored. It had more puzzles than any other Zelda game, which Zelda games are based on the idea of puzzles. You can't argue that Breath of the Wild isn't a Zelda game. It has more Zelda content in it than Majora's Mask did. You have only Link. Okay, so let's throw that argument out. I just felt like the mechanics of the getting into the 3-day time period made you feel so rushed you could never really get into the story, because every stinking time you tried to figure out what was going on, the stinking moon came crashing to the earth. And yeah, you can slow it down, but you were still constantly frustrated at the fact that you have a deadline and you don't really get to think through and process things and really get to figure out what's going on. Every time the stinking moon crashed down, you lost everything. That's a whole stupid concept. If I spend all this time exploring and build up all the stuff, it goes away.
We're going to cut you off right there. So we've had probably one of the most heated debates we've ever had on this channel happen right here before us today. We've got two different arguments going on, whether Majora's Mask was good game or bad game, and whether Breath of the Wild, once again, we've already debated this one, but if it was a Zelda game or wasn't a Zelda game or a good one. So go ahead and leave your feedback in the comments down below. Remember to subscribe to our channel for more heated debates, as we will have them in the future. Like the video, share it, and remember that you can click right here in this little box to purchase the game. We have a link right there. Link you right to it.
And in the comments.
And in the comments as well.
It's called the description.
Yeah, description.
Whatever.
Whatever. Yeah. And with that, bye.
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 Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask.
That was your cue, dude.